It was a quiet evening in New York City. The kind of evening that carried a hint of sadness in the air, where every sound felt softer, every light felt warmer, and every memory seemed to whisper from the corners of your heart. Anna sat by her window, her coffee growing cold beside her. In her hand, she held an old piece of paper, yellowed at the edges, slightly crumpled, but full of emotions that refused to fade. It was her letter, a letter she had written but never sent. Every night, for 5 long years, she wrote to him, sometimes about her day, sometimes about the dreams they shared, and sometimes just about how much she missed him. But she never had the courage to mail even one of them. His name was Daniel, the boy who used to sit by her in college, who loved books more than people, and who smiled like he carried sunshine in his pocket. They met in a small cafe downtown. She spilled coffee on his shirt that day, and he laughed instead of getting angry. That laugh, it became her favorite sound in the world. They talked for hours that day, about music, about art, about their fears, about the little things that make life worth living. From that day on, they were inseparable. Days turned into months, and friendship quietly turned into love. But life, as always, had other plans. Daniel got a job in another state. He promised to return soon, to build a life together, to make everything work. But then, silence. Days turned into weeks, weeks into years. And in those years, the letters kept coming, not from him, but from her. Each one, written with hope, sealed with tears, and hidden away in a wooden box under her bed. The room was quiet, save for the trembling notes of the piano. The keys carried a melody too fragile to be called music, a halting pattern of sound broken by the uneven rhythm of a child's sobs. Emma's hands shook as she tried to keep playing, but her little sister Lily's tear-stained face made every chord stumble. On the black leather bench, Lily leaned against her, eyes red and watery. Her small fingers hovered uncertainly above the white keys, pressing down at random as if she could somehow push her sadness into the instrument. Behind them, in the doorway, a figure lingered. James stood with a mug of coffee cooling in his hand, his broad shoulders framed by the warm light of the hallway. He hadn't meant to stop. He had only been passing through, ready to leave for another long day at the firm. But the sound of the piano had pulled him like a tide, forcing him to pause at the threshold. What he saw pierced deeper than he expected. Emma, his wife, still in her nightgown with a blazer thrown over it, hair hastily tied up, was trying to coax calm into their daughter. She pressed the keys softly, whispering to Lily, her own voice unsteady. Just listen to the sound, sweetheart. Feel it. The piano always listens when no one else does. James's grip on his mug tightened. He had heard that line before, years ago, not from Emma, but from his own mother. He cleared his throat, but the sound was swallowed by the music. Emma hadn't noticed him yet. Or maybe she had and was pretending not to. James leaned against the doorframe, torn between stepping in and keeping his distance. The sight of Lily's tears twisted something in him, but it was Emma's weary patience that struck hardest. She looked as though she had already lived 100 mornings before this one, each one heavier than the last. "Mommy, I don't want to go to school," Lily whispered, her voice muffled as she pressed her cheek against Emma's arm. Emma's hands stilled on the piano. She exhaled slowly, not wanton,